but the Lord will establish your steps. And just remind yourself of that. I will be intentional. I will plan this course. I will let go of some things, but God is going to establish my next step. And God, be so clear with us. Be so clear with us that we know where the next breadcrumb is and what the next step is. Hello, and welcome to the Encourager Podcast, where we talk about real life and real systems so you can joyfully harmonize both home and work. I'm your host, Rebekah Scott. I'm a wife, mom, designer, coach, and lifelong systems thinker. And I help overwhelmed women build simple, sustainable rhythms that actually work for their real lives. Around here, we talk about priorities, pre-decisions, and practical tools that bring peace instead of pressure. Because you don't need more hustle, you need better systems and more grace. Today's episode is a good one. Hello, encouragers. On this week's episode, I want to talk about 3 things you can stop carrying into July. We're going to call this the mid-year permission slip. Can I ask you a question? When you think about the goals you set in January, what's your first feeling? Be honest with yourself. Is it exciting? Do you feel discouraged? Do you feel behind? For many of us, the halfway point of the year becomes a scoreboard, and we immediately start thinking about what didn't happen, what we haven't accomplished, what we're still struggling with, all of the thoughts. But what if June isn't meant to be a report card? It's actually just a permission slip of what's actually going on. So today I want to give you 3 permissions that might completely change how you enter the second half of the year. The second half of the year doesn't require a complete reinvention. I'm also not asking for that, especially in the middle of the summer months. It may simply require noticing what's working, releasing what's not working, and taking one faithful next step. Most women I talk to right now are carrying around 3 things: unnecessary pressure, unnecessary guilt, and unnecessary expectations. Raise your hand, because I am. We keep acting like if we just worked harder, if we got more organized, if we just prayed longer, that one stings so much, right? If you just prayed longer, worshiped harder, whatever it might be, planned more thoroughly, then everything would finally come together. We are definitely the problem. But eventually we become exhausted trying to manage a life that God never asked us to control in this way. And that's why we enter July already feeling tired. Or the reverse, where we're just like, forget it. I don't even care anymore, right? You get so into that headspace where you're like, it doesn't even matter. I'm not going to accomplish any of those things. We don't want that either. So instead of creating a bigger to-do list or trying to get more organized in July and further on, I want to offer you these 3 permissions and a new frame for how you will complete the year. Permission number 1, stop ignoring what's working. We often get so focused on fixing what's broken that we forget to celebrate what's growing. So here's some examples. Your marriage is healthier. Maybe your prayer life is stronger. Maybe the family rhythms are improving. Maybe your business is even a little bit more stable. And maybe you have better boundaries over the last 6 months. So I want you to ask yourself, what's actually working right now? Where can you give yourself a little pat on the back? What's healthier than it was 6 months ago? Or what prayer has God already answered? For me, when I look back, I think, you know what? Knowing my numbers and continually studying them every single Monday morning and Thursday morning has made a huge difference in how I approach both my businesses. Now, you know that I've preached for years about knowing your numbers, but I have taken a deep dive that would bore you to death about my numbers in my business. We're talking every single transaction, operating expenses versus materials and contractors versus taxes versus like everything. I have taken a really deep dive into knowing my numbers, and it is paying off because I feel more knowledgeable and I can make better choices for my brands. The other thing that I've been really working on this year that is finally showing up and I can tell that it's working is I'm doing less doing and more being. And this is something that I actually tally, which seems like, how could you actually tally it? I just have a reflection question at night on my habit tracker where I go, did I spend more time just being today, whether it was in conversation with my husband, being more concentrated on his words, or with my children, or with the person in front of me during work, and less doing? Like I habitually like do a little bit here, do a little bit there while I'm visiting. And I'm trying to do less of that to, first of all, slow my brain down and allow me to be more present. And it's working. I'm beginning to really slide into it more frequently and more easily because I've been practicing it. Remember Psalm 103:2. Praise the Lord, my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Praise the Lord. Forget not all the benefits when we lean on him. So before making another goal as you head into July, make a gratitude list. Talk about the things that you're so grateful for that maybe it's not even things that you've already accomplished, it's just things that you have and things that you've been through that you're just really grateful for this year. And then write down 5 things that have improved this year. They can be the tiniest, silliest things ever, you guys, but it will help you to relax as you move into the second half of the year. Before God asks us to fix something new, he often asks us to recognize what he's already done. Permission number 2, stop carrying what isn't working. Not everything belongs in your next season. I talk frequently about this. Life is seasons, and summer is definitely a separated season that marks a lot of different things in our rhythms. But it doesn't mean that we have to carry, even though we're in the middle of the season of summer, it doesn't mean we have to carry it into July. Some things need to be released. So some examples. Unrealistic expectations. Yep. Did you set them up in the month of January when you had a lot of energy for all the things new? Totally get it. I'm raising my hand too. Where can we narrow that? Maybe it's self-imposed deadlines. Oh my gosh, this one too. Raise my hand so big. I have always set my own deadlines. Even when I was in college, I would set my deadline for a test a week ahead so that I would kind of over prepare or have my own deadline. Is that what's going on for you? Is it comparison? Do you need to finally release that you cannot compare to anyone because you're uniquely made? Do you need to release some disappointment? Maybe you didn't quite get the goal. Do you need to release it? Maybe it wasn't for this season. Or do you need to release some guilt? Ask yourself, what keeps draining me? What am I trying to force? Or what expectation am I carrying that God never gave me, that I gave myself? So for me, something that I am going to release in the second half of the year is I am going to release that we are going to improve the Encourager website on the current platform. We did a revamp a couple months ago, and it's great and it's functioning great and all those things. But now knowing my numbers, it's still not functioning the way that I need it to in the simplified way that I need it to. It's just a very robust program or platform that we're using. And so I'm going to change that up. And that's going to be my new focus for the Encourager in the second half of the year alongside the one-on-one coaching, which you guys know all about. But we're also going to make the website more simplified. You guys probably won't experience anything about what we're doing. This is more of an internal practice. So it's easier for my assistant and I to upload podcasts, upload the coaching platforms, all those things. And so that is something that I'm like, I have to let go that this robust system works anymore because it doesn't. The other thing I'm letting go of, and this is so hard even to say, but I just have to let it go, is lawn care. Now, I'm not going to have an overgrown lawn. That's not what I'm talking about. But I put so much pressure on myself to keep the flower bed really beautiful because it's from Grandma Lorna. We bought my husband's grandma's house, so I always feel this pressure about the plants that she had in her flower bed because they've been there for generation after generation. And if you've been in a farm family situation, you know there's a little bit added pressure. And there's this rose bush that's 140 years old. And I feel like we have to weed eat all the time. We have to mulch 3 or 4 times. The whole thing. And the summer is the busiest for me because of all the travel for the shows. And so I'm going to knock my expectations down a little bit to just maintenance what we can and let the rest go because it's not good for me. And it's definitely not good for my family when I'm ragging on everybody if I ain't gone over the weekend and we didn't weed or clean up or whatever. I have to let it go for a season and just be. I love this verse from Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. And sometimes that phrase needs to be said over and over. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. And then if you still struggle with it, ask him, God, what does that look like? How will you give me rest? Carve out some time today, even if it's just 5 minutes for me to unload, spend time with you, and have that moment of rest. He will deliver. I want you to do this. Write down one thing you're intentionally leaving behind in the first half of the year. What is something you did the first 6 months that you are not going to carry into the next 6 months? That's right. There's a little bit of permission. Hey, Encouragers, hope you're enjoying this episode. We'll be right back after this short break. This episode of The Encourager is brought to you by Rebekah Scott Designs, where we create thoughtfully designed purses and accessories that support your real life, not just your outfit. Every bag is designed with intention, handcrafted right here in South Dakota, and built around the belief that beauty and function should work together. From custom fabrics and linings to leathers, zippers, and really cool features, you get to design a piece that truly fits your life. Visit designyourownbag.com to create your own custom bag and use code ENCOURAGER for $10 off your purchase. Permission number 3, stop trying to do everything next. Growth rarely happens through dramatic overhauls. That's only for TV. That's when they have to produce something in the next 6 weeks. That's when they have this complete overhaul. And then what happens when they do those complete overhauls? They don't follow up with them, right? Why don't they follow up with them? Because it's too much. It's too much at once. That's why there's not that follow through, you guys. It happens through one faithful next step. That's how you begin to have these overhauls. It's just one faithful next step, because women don't need a new life plan. We already know what the ideal plan is for ourselves, but we do need the next practical step that still works alongside what we're currently doing. Instead of having a complete overhaul, what's the one next simple step you could do? And here are some examples. Make the phone call, start the Bible study, set the boundary, schedule the appointment. That's it. Pick up the phone, schedule the appointment, launch the project. That's a big one, but you could break it down into steps. Maybe just proclaiming, I am going to launch this is enough. Or have the conversation. Those are practical next steps, not complete overhauls, just practical next steps. Ask yourself, what's the next right thing God is asking me to do? And then sit with it. The next one thing God is asking, not the next 10 things, just the one thing. For me, it is the Encourager website getting its own, it's not really an overhaul. Like I just said, we're just going to approach it one thing at a time, but that is the next practical step I can do for that brand. And the next practical thing I'm going to start doing, and this is more of a mindset than anything, I'm going to stop comparing my sales numbers that I had in 2019 to this year, 2026. That's kind of a big gap. That was a significant year in both of my brands. And I tend to always go back to comparing every single show and every single month to those years. And that's not going to happen anymore. That is just, first of all, it's very unrealistic and it just causes me to feel a lot of disappointment. I'm going to compare my numbers to 1 or 2 years before this, but not 5 or 6 years back. Just have a more realistic approach of what I can do in the next 6 months of this year. I love the scripture verse from Proverbs 16:9. In their hearts, humans plan their course. Every day, all day long, don't we? But the Lord establishes their steps. So we can still be clear and ask God, like, this is what I think I am planning for. This is what I would like to see happen. But the Lord will establish your steps. And just remind yourself of that. I will be intentional. I will plan this course. I will let go of some things. But God is going to establish my next step. And God, be so clear with us. Be so clear with us that we know where the next breadcrumb is and what the next step is. For permission number 3, just choose one action before the end of the day, the next one faithful step you can do, write it down, put it on the calendar, and take the first step. That's it. So that is your mid-year permission slip. You have permission to notice what's working. You have permission to release what's not. And you have permission to focus on one faithful next step. You do not need to have the rest of the year figured out. Please hear me clearly. Even the next 6 months, you do not need to have the whole second half of the year figured out. God isn't asking you to carry 12 months at once. He's asking you to be purposeful with what you are already stewarding. And sometimes in a season of maybe overwhelm, that might just be the next one faithful step. Maybe it looks a little bit further out, and that's okay too, but you don't have to have it all figured out all at once. He's asking you to trust him with today's action. What if entering July wasn't about becoming a different person or a complete overhaul? What if it was simply about becoming more faithful with what God has already placed in your hands? And if listening to this podcast has encouraged you and you're like, yes, I can do the next one step. I love the approach of doing permissions. That's exactly what I do with one-on-one coaching. I work with who God uniquely made you, picking up on what you need to let go of, picking up on what you need to start because he's put it in your heart as a desire. I love working with individuals one-on-one to see what God is doing and help reinforce that in you. So if you need some more permissions, please check out the one-on-one coaching on the website, theencouragerpodcast.com. Until next time, encouragers, we've got this because he's got us. If this podcast has encouraged you or helped you in any way, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe and leave a 5-star review. It truly helps more women find these conversations. And if you're listening thinking, I don't need more motivation, I need someone to help me figure out my actual life, that's exactly what I do. Through Encourager Academy and one-on-one coaching, I help women build personalized systems for their home, work, and life rhythms. No cookie-cutter routines, but structures that fit your unique personality, your season, and your capacity. You can explore the Academy or book a free discovery call at theencouragerpodcast.com. Let's take your next small step forward together.